Thanks again, Nick. It was a life experience.
Action.
Good evening and welcome to the Tibet Center at 151 West 30th Street, third floor. We'll begin tonight by reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to the practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing of the moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are a source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a great gathering of great Buddhas and great Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the dhammas called profound illumination. And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors in consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor the wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the Bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassable mantra, the unequal mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as true. For there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed. Taryata om gate gate para samgate bodhisattva. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you were taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering of the world with its gods, humans, asuras and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. We generate bodhicitta. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha and Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So, we're discussing His Holiness the Dalai Lama's ethics for the new millennium. And we have two classes going. We have New York and New Jersey. So this is the New Jersey bookmark. And this is the New York.
Page ahead of
Different time zone.
New York is fast.
So, well, no, New Jersey is fast-paced. I did this wrong. Gosh. So, for those of you who have the book, Chapter 1, Modern Society and the Quest for Human Happiness. So I should say, I was invited to a screening of this new movie, The Wisdom of Happiness, in which His Holiness tries to inspire us to be better people. And he's not trying to teach Buddhism as opposed to some other kind of spiritual or religious way. He's trying to inspire people to be better people in a general sense. And that's what this book is doing. It's not trying to preach Buddhism. It's not trying to do anything but get us to assume responsibility towards others, towards our human society. And I strongly recommend The Wisdom of Happiness.
In general, or this film?
This film. I think it's going to be playing at the Quad Cinema, and you can buy seats. I sent you a link. So don't miss it. It's really wonderful. It must be a rather recently filmed interview with His Holiness, and interview meaning what would you call it? Seance or time when His Holiness is speaking right into the camera to each of us, to all of us, really inspiring us, pushing us to work towards making the world a better place by being better people, by helping each other. And he inspires us to assume greater responsibility for the planet, for this environment that we all inhabit together, which he acknowledges is in the process of changing. And you see scenes of His Holiness in Dharamsala soon after he arrived there in 1960. And during the winter, there are a few feet of snow. I've never seen more than this much snow in Dharamsala for the last 40-something years that I've gone in the winter. So climate change is definitely very strongly affecting our environment. However, there is something we can do, and whatever we can do, we should do. He's saying, this is our world, this is our environment. It's for our own sake that we should do so. So, I strongly, I don't get a cut of this. Darren, you saw it. Do you have anything to add to?
I was going to ask you, there was so much footage of His Holiness I never saw before. He was like hiking in the snow. He was, the one scene of him, was he getting his examination? He was standing up debating. Was that when Rinpoche was there, or was that not?
Rinpoche was definitely there. He was there for all of those
There
sessions.
was like so much footage I've never seen ever. And even the invasion footage was sad and amazing. Really good movie.
So it's just at the Quad in Manhattan.
I don't know where else it'll be. It all depends on how well it does and how much people...
Hour and 30 minutes.
Sorry?
An hour and 30 minutes. That's all. Back in the
Thank you.
Will
you be speaking again at the movie?
I don't know. The speaking part was, we spoke for like 5 minutes.
The question and answers, you mean?
It wasn't really question and answers. It was just to give it a little bit of atmosphere.
You didn't go.
Going on Saturday.
But you went this Saturday.
Yeah.
You made it hard to find out when he was. The video was calling up the day before.
One cinema has the whole schedule.
Yeah, I have one, so. Anybody else wants to know?
Nothing in your...
Saturday? Saturday? Yeah.
I think it's too special.
I think so. We're gonna go right after White Car Lines. New Jersey? From New Jersey to New York, yeah.
Well, I recommend it. So, modern society and the quest for human happiness. So, I'm a comparative newcomer. So this we covered in New Jersey for those of you who were there. Although I fled my homeland as long ago as 1959, and although my life since then as a refugee in India has brought me into much closer contact with contemporary society, my formative years were spent largely cut off from the realities of the 20th century. This was partly due to my appointment as Dalai Lama. I became a monk at a very early age. It also reflects the fact that we Tibetans had chosen, mistakenly, in my opinion, in my view, to remain isolated from behind the high mountain ranges which separate our country from the rest of the world. What we discussed in New Jersey is this phrase, mistakenly, in my view, where, good evening, I was saying that I felt that His Holiness was saying mistakenly, in my view, in that the spiritual path is not one of remaining oblivious to the world, hiding from it, escaping it. It's assuming responsibility for it. And in order to do so, it's important to know what's going on and to be involved with it. If, as a result of knowing what's going on and being involved with it, one wishes to immerse oneself in a spiritual practice that demands one's remaining a little bit separate from it, that becomes a constructive way of engaging to be of benefit to the world. But if one simply cops out, I don't think that's a responsible way to behave spiritually. But what do you think?
Cops out to what degree? Like fully removing oneself.
Well, here, the example that His Holiness is giving is that Tibet really cut itself off from the world. The aristocratic class, the aristocrats, and the monastic hierarchy, the abbots, together decided that it was wrong for there to be a real collaboration with the outside world. That there's the 13th Dalai Lama had pushed hard to create something of a modern army, something of a relationship with other countries. And the abbots of the great monastic universities and the aristocrats who held power together decided, no, we should not involve ourselves with the outside world. We should concentrate on what we are doing here. And that's what His Holiness is saying he didn't agree with and doesn't agree with. And I'm suggesting that what he's telling us by saying that is that we should know what's going on. We should be involved with the world. It's only a very high spiritual practitioner who goes off and lives in a cave and contributes to the world by doing so. For someone who's not prepared to go off and live in a cave is a cop-out, I'm suggesting. But what do you think?
What if we're talking about people who are choosing maybe the right term these days is path involving the polycan. What used to be called the Hinayana. Where some amount, and the goal is to achieve arhatship.
Mark, you're full of surprises. Okay, so you're advocating.
I'm saying if we say that that is, from a point of view, is a worthwhile thing to do, then that's up to each practitioner.
So His Holiness the Dalai Lama is saying to us,
Yeah.
from the point of view of working for the sake of all sentient beings,
I think he's talking from a particular point of view, which is a collective point of view. Right? I mean, automatically, he's the leader of a government there. So he has his country's responsibilities at heart. But if we're talking from the point of view of an individual practitioner,
we're talking from the point of view of individual practitioners here.
I think these things are very personal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we have to evaluate that for ourselves.
And that's what we're doing.
But to say you should have this viewpoint rather than focusing on your own meditation.
I think it's also to what degree are you sort of reclusing yourself or detaching. I find myself 4 years into parenthood more ignorant about current events than I've ever been in my life. Or at least since adolescence or childhood. So every once in a while, when I have a minute to come up for air, like I question and functioning to some degree unethically or irresponsibly, neglectfully, if nothing else, at least inadvertently. We don't put the TV on when she's in the room, and I don't know. And I don't read the news. I devote all my time, my reading time, to my own studies, my own pursuit in my profession, and I'd be very unhappy if I didn't do that. I'd be very unfulfilled. But in turn, people talk about, what's going on with this, and I truly have no idea. And I don't know if that is on a small scale, to some degree, unethical.
It's not a question of whether it's ethical or not. It's a question of whether being totally cut off is helpful in assuming responsibility towards. But, the time that you devote to, let's say, deepening your knowledge of medicine, you're doing that to help others. You're doing that in respect to.
Yeah, and myself. I mean, because it gives me pleasure to be more knowledgeable on it. If I'm honest about it, I like we were talking about last week. I enjoy the side effect of being able to help others, but I love the academic pursuit of it. If I'm honest, and it's nice that it happens to help others.
Also the fact that you have a daughter, you're helping her to grow up.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
also
yeah.
very important.
And we don't put the news on for her.
As a group, small, it's already an improvement mode. As a nation isolated itself, they proved the point. They lost their freedom somewhat. So that individually it's a tough call.
Taking Instagram off your phone is probably a good thing.
Yeah. It's bad enough just emails.
But putting your head in the sand is what I think His Holiness is saying is wrong.
But if they said that the Buddha needs to know everything, just like us, we need to know what's going on in the world. And the Buddha, he needs to know medicines, even arts, and buildings, stuff like that. Like every aspect that he needs to know. So I think for us, practicing Buddhism, we need to know at least a little bit of everything or what's happening in the world. So it also helps us to, I think, enhance our practice. You can live in a house and not knowing what's going on.
What are the current monastic rules for monks about paying attention to the news and all that? Or their study studies, is there any kind of thing that allows some sort of rules that allow X amount of time? Or media, I don't know.
So, I don't know that there were guidelines regarding news. When I first arrived in the monastery, the Drepung Loseling Library Society had a copy of the Deccan Herald that arrived daily, and it was the local newspaper. And it was on a stand, sort of, a wooden thing, and it was laid out like this, a big platform on which it went. And it was in English, so most of the monks couldn't read it. But it was there. I received the Guardian Weekly, and so everything was, 2 weeks late, but I followed what was happening in the world. And then there was the BBC World Service that every hour on the hour would give you a little. And I may have mentioned, I heard that His Holiness had these Sony shortwave radios distributed around his home and office so that he could always hit the button, and every hour on the hour they would have that song, and then boop, 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 and then would start the... so anyone who could follow that in English in the monastery, that was okay. So there was no rule against following the news.
Yeah, I remember Rinpoche even they encouraged us, but mostly to Mr. Tom, to watch the news. And he said, just go watch TV, watch the news. I think it's for us to see our reaction to things happening. It's a way to practice, to see how you react and how you would antidote the problem, our feelings at least, not the problem itself.
He bought the New York Times every day.
Make notes of the words he wasn't sure of.
Yes, he would underline words in the newspaper, and if you went to see him, he would hand you the paper and say, what do those words mean? And they were always words I would have to look up to really give him a proper. He was teaching me.
I'm going to ask you about the talks being fruitful and productive. What is fruitful? I said, no. He would ask the same question around. I don't really understanding the word, but is it something heavy? Is it a light? Is it a little slightly risque or not? When do you use it?
When Prince Charles and Princess Diana had their first child, Prince Charles said that he was over the moon. Rinpoche was, what is over the moon? And then he started using, I'm over the moon.
That's right. You were thinking about it.
I think that for the news, right? For the beginners, I think maybe is because when we don't have the strong mind, or the right view to differentiate what is good, what is bad, then that time I think it's better for us to close up, to concentrate at our study, right? Like other things, just leave it. But just make myself stronger first. But as long as my view established, right, then little by gradually go out to the world, to listen to the news or whatever, that you don't easily get distracted by outside. I think maybe that is the steps maybe. Right?
So that means that you have to start, if you are a child, as a child, you're not going to limit yourself from anything, right? Anything fun.
Yeah.
So the parents should tell the child, don't How do you deal with the children?
For myself,
For yourself, you have decided at a certain age, out of an interest in deepening your experience, your knowledge of Buddhism, to keep yourself away from certain things, right?
yeah, like for example, for myself, before I study Reverend Channel, I, very eagerly to learn everything outside. But I'm so confused, because I don't know who's saying is right, it's always confusing. And then don't know who to follow. So when I started learning Tremble, so, and at the beginning, I tried to stop, all my friends, other friends, they don't study Buddhist, so I stopped their connections. So, and then concentrate. And then I find out when I have more, my mind is stronger, and then people say something, and then I can decide, something wrong with their talking, but I don't follow. That's the difference from before and after I really. So, yeah, that's how my experience is.
So, from what Mark is saying, what you are saying, it's very important that we be aware of, and I think that what His Holiness is saying is don't cut yourself off from the world that you are working towards, working for. And there is often a tendency to do that.
But I think also what Christine is expressing is that if we don't cut ourselves off at all, then we can be led in all kinds of directions, which are maybe increasing what we might call wrong views.
Yes, as long as I have stronger mind, so now I continue to connect with outside too. Yeah.
So today I travel a great deal, and it is my good fortune continuously to be meeting new people. Moreover, individuals from all walks of life come to see me quite a lot, especially those who make the effort to travel to India, the Indian hill station of Dharamsala, where I live in exile, arrive seeking something. Among these are people who have suffered greatly. Some have lost parents and children, some have friends or family who committed suicide, are sick with cancer and with AIDS-related illnesses. Then, of course, there are fellow Tibetans with their own tales of hardship and suffering. Unfortunately, many have unrealistic expectations, supposing that I have healing powers, or that I can give some sort of blessing, but I'm only an ordinary human being. The best I can do is try to help them by sharing in their suffering. So here again, His Holiness is pointing out that he doesn't really have the power to change someone's situation, but to simply take the time to listen to someone who's experiencing difficulty is helpful to them. When you see patients, do you have them speak?
Yeah.
Well, the Chinese doctors I've been to are totally uninterested in anything I have to say. And often don't speak. Yes.
I've received that complaint from patients before who all may have gone to the same person. Yeah, I guess they're very, very knowledgeable. My colleagues are going to talk about this. They're very, very knowledgeable masters who can look at your tongue take your pulses and feel your abdomen and you know, have a really good idea of what's going on, but usually in taking the pulses or look at the tongue, you would have at the least a follow-up question. At the least, you'd want to kind of rule a couple things out. But, yeah.
There's in John Avedon's book, In Exile from the Land of Snows, he interviews the man who had been His Holiness the Dalai Lama's doctor, Dr. Yeshe Dondan, and who tells him about his examination at the end of medical school in Lhasa. And he's handed a thread, a string, and just the string, and it's not taut, it's just limp. And he has to figure out what's at the other end. And he apparently did it, and he said, "It's a chicken." And they said, "Okay, and what's wrong with it?" He said, "It's dead." And they said, "Okay, how long has it been dead?" And he, whatever it was, he got it right.
Yeah. That's beyond my scope.
You can use clairvoyant powers instead of, I don't know. Either way, with your healers.
In the past, in the Chinese, right, people like men and women cannot come close to each other. So when the doctor comes to the cave palace to take the pulse, right?
Yeah.
Take the thread, line on the woman's end, and then we can do that too. That is in the past. It's very skillful.
I'm sure they can do it. I'm sure there are people who continue the tradition. There must be.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's the masterful clinicians who are doing it as a result of their masterfulness, and my understanding is there's also the assembly line clinicians who are request no dialogue, so they're trying to get everybody in and out as fast as possible.
So you're gonna take our full subject class?
Not that now.
Do it.
How about my shoelace?
I don't know if my information is so exciting.
So, listening to someone, I think His Holiness is speaking to us, and for us, being humble about what we can actually do, but offering the patient sympathy of listening is pretty much all we can do at this stage. For my part, meeting innumerable others from all over the world and from every walk of life reminds me of our basic sameness as human beings. Indeed, the more I see the world, the clearer it becomes that no matter what our situation, whether we are rich or poor, educated or not, of one race, gender, religion, or another, we all desire to be happy and to avoid suffering. Our every intended action, in a sense, our whole life, how we choose to live it within the context of the limitations imposed by our circumstances, can be seen as our answer to the great question which confronts us all: how am I to be happy? So here, the fact that we share this wish to be happy and to avoid suffering is really the essence of what we have to work at recognizing. Actually, there are two ways of cultivating, generating bodhicitta. There is the sevenfold cause and effect way in which we recognize that all sentient beings have been our mothers, And then there's the exchanging self for others method. And in the exchanging self for others method, to begin with, when we develop equanimity, we start by recognizing that just as I wish for happiness and wish not to suffer, each and every person wishes for happiness and wishes not to suffer. And you're meant to do it really thinking of one individual after another. Just as I wish to be happy and not to suffer, he wishes to be happy and not to suffer. And just as I wish to be, recognizing that my motivation in life is a wish to be happy and not to suffer. That's what motivates all my actions. Yes, I may try to put emphasis into helping others, but the basic motivation that underlies everything that I engage in is a wish to be happy and not to suffer. And in our practice, we work at recognizing that, yes, that is true, but so does each and every other sentient being. Every time we see an ant or a cockroach or a bee or a mosquito, or out where we are, deer, each one of those, its impulses, its habits, its everything is out of a pursuit of happiness and the avoidance of suffering. And that's a really extraordinary thing to think about and to have it deepen within us as much as we can. I mean, as I said in New Jersey, if among all the meditations we could engage in, that meditation, that process of recognizing that each sentient being is simply motivated by a wish to be happy and to avoid suffering, the instinct that guides each one of us is that. Do you have any comments?
This morning when I rode the bus, that thought crossed my mind when I was sitting close to the bus driver because the bus was half empty since it's a holiday. So I was close to him. And he was very nice to me, and I thought, he really wants to be happy. He's driving the bus, but he's probably like just doing it because he has to, but at the end of the day, he's probably looking forward to doing something with his wife or going out for a meal or cooking or going for a drink, I don't know. And then he started singing. So yes, so he was very happy, and then it came across like that.
I really think that thinking about that, if we can, at our stage, thinking about that lasts the amount of time that we think about it. And then we get bumped or whatever it is, and our attitude changes and we forget. But if we can really, it's like thinking about the fact that each and every sentient being has been our mother in a past life. If we really, sitting on the subway, think, that person's been my mother in a past life, and that person, and then you have the little cockroach or the rat that runs across the platform, whatever it is, you think, it's been my mother in a past life. Even if it's a game, it totally changes the way we start viewing other people for the time that we're thinking that way. But it affects us, and it's worth playing that game and bringing that into our thoughts. We are sustained in this great, an online comment. Maybe until a practitioner someday realizes emptiness directly.
No, we couldn't hear that.
So maybe until a practitioner someday realizes emptiness directly. What's this word? I don't get this word.
Just be like a piece of.
Just, okay. Just be, just be like a piece of wood in response to any political conflict or disputes, question mark. Okay, Tony, will you figure that one out? Hmm?
Maybe until a practitioner someday realizes emptiness directly, just be like a piece of wood in response to any political conflict or disputes.
Question mark.
So,
Should we?
should we or should
Until we recognize emptiness directly, should we be like a piece of wood while facing political, wait, Tony, I need your help.
political disputes?
In facing political,
Political conflicts or disputes. In other words, he's saying, just be like, let it go by, don't think about it or whatever, be like a piece of wood. That's
So-
advice given when you're about to be angry or something.
so here, what we are talking about right now, as Darren handed me this piece of paper, is not to be like a piece of wood, but to recognize that each of the people in that political conflict is acting out of a pursuit of his or her happiness and a pursuit of some kind of avoidance of any suffering. And that's what we're working at recognizing as in this, talking about it now. Not avoiding things, not acting like a piece of wood. When we are going to get angry, when someone provokes us and we are going to get angry, at that point we work at being like a piece of wood. But here, what we're doing is, as we go through life and see all the people, all the sentient beings around us, we work at recognizing that what motivates them is a wish to be happy and a wish to avoid suffering. That's the more we can be aware of, or the more we can work at developing that awareness, the better.
Also, if you begin with a piece of wood, you won't be able to vote for the better person.
If you are like a piece of wood, and if you become a piece of wood, you cannot vote. Yes. According to Lavinia. Yes.
Going back to watching the news, is it part of the idea of, say, watching an hour of Al Jazeera to identify with the suffering of others and to develop compassion and also an awareness of one's own blessings?
Yes.
How others are living.
Yes.
How most of the other people in the world are living.
Yes. And I mean, to be serious, Rinpoche read the newspaper in order to develop a greater awareness of the tragic situations that were going on around the world, and considered it a source of information on which to, by which to cultivate compassion. Yes. So, we are sustained in this great quest for happiness, it seems to me, by hope. Yes, hope we had a very interesting discussion on. We know, even if we do not admit it, that there can be no guarantee of a better, happier life than the one we are leading today. So hope is something we have to be realistic about. However, as Holiness goes on, as an old Tibetan proverb puts it, the next life or tomorrow, we can never be certain which will come first. In other words, there's no guarantee that we will live until tomorrow. We may die and therefore be reborn into our next life, or step into our next life, be conceived in our next life before we reach tomorrow. But we hope to go on living. We hope that through this or that action, we can bring about happiness. Everything we do, not only as individuals, but also at the level of society, can be seen in terms of this fundamental aspiration. Indeed, it is one shared by all sentient beings. The desire or the inclination to be happy and to avoid suffering knows no boundaries. It is in our nature. As such, it needs no justification and is validated by the simple fact that we naturally and correctly want it. So the desire or inclination to be happy and to avoid suffering knows no boundaries. So, hope. Hope. What do you think hope is? What is your? We discussed this in New Jersey, but it was a very interesting discussion, and the idea of hope. Is hope a totally absurd thing to have, or is hope something that we need in order to maintain enthusiasm in the pursuit of whatever we're doing?
Realistic or not? It is.
This morning, in the very early hours of the morning, the Israeli hostages were, the Hamas-held Israeli hostages were released. And
the Israel-held Hamas hostages were released.
Hamas-held
Both.
hostages. Yes, you're right. Hamas-held Israeli hostages were released on the world stage. And there is a great confluence of world leaders and talk of great plans in the Middle East, which would not be Israeli-centered, Israeli or Palestinian, they would not be centered around that particular conflict. And so, as Dharma practitioners, as good Dharma practitioners, aren't we kind of obligated to feel great hope at these developments? I mean, isn't that the only attitude we can have?
So, it depends what your practice is. If your practice, I mean, of course, on the one hand, you can hope that. If your practice is cultivating an awareness of the suffering nature of cyclic existence, you recognize that in the long run, everything's going to, they're the seeds of the ending of anything that begins. And you develop that awareness that should inspire you, especially if you are what Mark called a Pali practitioner, to working to extricate yourself from cyclic existence.
But shouldn't we, I don't diminish your point, in fact, I think you're right about the second point you presented, but shouldn't we have at least enough positivity within our religious, within our practice to be hopeful and encouraged? Whether or not we're saying that.
What do you think?
It's very close to wishing too, isn't it? Hope and wishing and aspiring.
And anticipating.
So aspiring actually involves you. You are acting on that hope or wish. So yes, yeah. Yes.
Yes. On the other hand, I agree with you insofar in the second point you presented, which is that in every beginning we can also anticipate the end.
So, no, but I mean, I think it's very important that, yes, we should act with hope.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think the question was hope for what? hope, but if we hope to just, finish work and get to the bar.
To make it that far.
I don't know how to explain that.
Well, you have to think like it's different for every person. You have to think what is Donald Trump before we raise it?
Yeah.
You might want some more gold leaf on the wall.
His ancient
There's a big discussion now on Wall Street about the legitimacy of hope. Why do we have to come up with the answer? Because we got basic food in each. When Buddhists mind definitely fully evolved. And that's something that they've been around for logic, so that's a reason there for hope. Even when things look impossible. We don't see the underlying reality. With the whole nature not woken up. So that's their point in the argument. Him and that woman mentality. I think like this press secretary now.
So because we have Mother Nature.
Because it is legitimacy of hope.
I agree.
Yes. There is hope for each and every sentient being to attain enlightenment because of their Buddha nature. Well, because they're empty of inherent existence, they have the potential to.
Yeah, which is a definition of Buddha nature. And then someone asked him, well, what if everybody becomes a Buddha? What do the Buddhas do then? They go on vacation without bringing this to a microsecond. He's like, then Buddhas go on vacation. Wait every morning. You might have been there. I don't remember.
I remember that.
Yeah.
What was the answer? Can
Then-
Buddhists go on vacation?
He didn't ask whether they could or not. He said, then Buddhas go on vacation.
Then Buddhists go on vacation, I see.
So, once we all attain enlightenment, once all sentient beings attain enlightenment, then we all go on holiday.
Where's that vacation spot?
There is a vacation spot, yeah.
Can we book a
Sibilati,
You
you have
can
to
book.
make a reservation.
You can make, your room will be awaiting you. Do not worry. They will be catered to. And this is precisely what we see in countries both rich and poor, everywhere. By all means imaginable, people are striving to improve their lives. Yet strangely, my impression is that those living in the materially developed countries, for all their industry, are in some way less satisfied, are less happy, and to some extent suffer more than those living in the least developed countries. Indeed, if we compare the rich with the poor, it often seems that those with nothing are in fact the least anxious, though they are plagued with physical pains and suffering. As for the rich, while a few know how to use their wealth intelligently, that is to say, not luxurious living, but by sharing it with the needy, many do not. They are so caught up with the idea of acquiring still more that they make no room for anything else in their lives. In their absorption, they actually lose the dream of happiness, which riches were. They lose the dream of happiness which riches were to have provided. As a result, they are constantly tormented, torn between doubt about what might happen and the hope of gaining more, and plagued with mental and emotional suffering, even though outwardly they may appear to be leading entirely successful and comfortable lives. This is suggested both by the high degree and by the disturbing prevalence among the populations of the materially developed countries of anxiety, discontent, frustration, uncertainty, and depression. Moreover, this inner suffering is clearly connected with growing confusion as to what constitutes morality and what its foundations are. Well, that's
a poem.
that's a place to end. Well, we'll do the next paragraph. I'm often reminded of this paradox when I go abroad. It frequently happens that when I arrive in a new country, at first everything seems very pleasant, very beautiful. Everybody I meet is very friendly. There is nothing to complain about. But then, day by day, as I listen, I hear people's problems, their concerns and worries. Below the surface, we may feel so many feel uneasy and dissatisfied with their lives. They experience feelings of isolation. And then follows depression. The result is troubled atmosphere, which is such a feature of the developed world. Well, so we should pray to be reborn in a So now I've confused my system. Let's go here. Yeah. What is the date today? The 13th? Sorry? We're being asked to pray for Diane Keaton. So we shall read the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels, thinking of Diane Keaton. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha Bhagavat Tathagata Arhat Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not staying by the realm of desire. He is not staying by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies.
is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further, seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavad is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joint palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are the field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue. I prostrate to the Tathagata. Here the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm.
The 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings, who surpass
even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my others. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as light illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment.
prayer for a swift return. Exalted wisdom of all victors
gathered and brought, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, who loves unto one Durga. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of Victor Loson's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel. Return as the glory of Losan Tenbe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala Kamayama Srimati Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face.
Thank you, kids. Thanks for the meal. That was delicious. Can't wait to burn.
Somebody cook for you?
No, yes, a chef. We went to the Miani restaurant on Lexington. Very good. You like